Hey everyone, it's Robin Riley for Bello's Designs. Welcome to my Talk Crafty to Me video. Today's video, we're going to blow bubbles. So check out these fun and creative ATC cards that I used. And for those of you that don't know, ATC is an artist trading card, which measures 2.5 inches across by 3.5 inches long. These are pretty doggone close to a baseball card size, and they actually fit perfectly into the baseball card sleeves. So if you ever get into ATCs and start trading with people, that's just a perfect way to store them. So anyway, let's look at this background. As you can see, there are 2 shades of bubbles that I have created here. Here's another one. And here is a third one. You won't believe how much fun this is to create. Hey, before we get started though, I want to make sure all of you are aware of our Facebook groups. We have 2 of them, the Del Bello's Design Lounge, and there we showcase all of our Lavinia products. We also have another page. It's called the Del Bello's Designs a la carte, and that is where we showcase all of the other products that Patty currently has in her shop. There are other social media platforms, as you well know. There's Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. And if you use any of those and you want to follow along with us, all you have to do is search this right here, this hashtag Del Bello's Designs, and you'll find us there. A lot of good stuff on those social media platforms. Okay, let's get back to creating these backgrounds. I'm always on the search to find a new way to create a background for my cards or for my ATC cards. And this was one that a friend pointed out to me, and I thought it would be fun to share with you. So let's look at the supplies that we need to create these. You're going to need a vessel of some type. I'm using glass because it's weighted, and this has a nice size opening. This is actually a yogurt jar that I save. But you could use plastic cups. I would suggest, though, to use nothing bigger than an 8-ounce vessel, just because you're going to be wasting a lot of ink if you use something larger than this. You will also need water. This is something that I keep at my craft desk, is this plastic bottle with the spout. It's just easy for filling up items such as this glass jar, or if I'm going to fill up my Brush-O pots. Just a neat little tool that I saw someone using online, and I thought I needed to do that also. Okay, so along with that water, you're going to need some type of dish soap. It doesn't matter what the brand is. You're just going to need a little dish soap. You're going to need lots of paper towels or napkins, just in case you have a little bit of an accident. You'll need straws. This is how we're going to blow those bubbles. Like I said, I'm going to be using ATC size cards. Again, those measure 2.5 by 3.5 inches. I'm going to do this demonstration on sturdy white cardstock along with watercolor card, just so you can see if there is that much of a difference. Now keep in mind, we're going to be loading this up with a lot of liquid, so you want to make sure you are using sturdy cardstock so that you don't get a lot of warping. So for the colors, I'm going to demonstrate today using Distress Oxide Black Soot along with the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. And these are the refill bottles. You have to use something like this where you can squirt out the ink that will be needed. I'm also going to try and do a demo with the acrylic sprays that Lavinia has. They come in various colors, but I thought it would be a nice demo so we can see if this type of a liquid would work. And being that I do not have any Distress ink refills, I have this Dilutions ink spray, which I am hoping is going to work. Again, we're just going to try this out together and see what works best. Okay, let's get started. Okay, taking that glass vessel, I am going to fill it about halfway full with the water. You really don't need a lot of water. Like I said, you don't want to waste a lot of your refill inks. So I found a half of a container. And this container, like I said, is approximately 8 ounces. So this is about 4 ounces of water. And we are going to add just a few drops of the dish soap. And the dish soap is what actually helps us create bubbles. I just did 2 small squirts in that pot of water. And let's start with the Distress Oxide ink. Now, the darker the ink, the better your results are going to be. I tried using worn lipstick, being that that was one of the other oxide refills that I had. And it was so light, I could barely see any result. So that's why I'm suggesting, use dark colors. So what I'm going to do is simply squirt in some of this. I'm going to give it 2 good squirts. It's really fun to see mix around in there, I got to be honest. Okay, so as you can see, I hope, it's just kind of mixing in there with the soap and the water. I'm going to take the straw and stir this well. Now, after playing with this technique for a while, I found that I need to stir this pot every single time I blow bubbles. That way, the majority of the color is floating in this water. It helps if you use a nice scented dish soap too, because it just kind of smells good as you're doing this. Okay, so bear with me as I blow my bubbles. As you can see, I have a ton of bubbles floating on the top. I'm going to first start with the watercolor card. And I am just simply going to lay this on the bubble and see if I get anything. It's extremely faint. Let me try this side. There, I got a better amount. And you don't break those bubbles. You just let them sit on top of the card and let them break naturally. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little more color on this card. Again, remember I said you need to stir in between each time you blow bubbles. As you can see, there's a ton of color now in these bubbles, so I should get a good print. I just lay it on the side and pick up some bubbles. Now, see that tiny area that is like really full of bubbles? I'll show you what that does. Not so good, to be honest with you, because when that finally breaks down, it's going to be kind of a big splodge of ink. Then again, maybe that's what you want, and that's okay. So I try to stay away from that real foamy area, and I just stick to where I can see individual bubbles. All right, I'm going to set this aside to let it dry, and we'll revisit that at the end. That was the watercolor card. Now I'm going to come in just with the plain heavy card. I stir that. I didn't stir. There we go. You see how I let those bubbles come up and over? That's really what you need to do. I found that works best. That way you get varying sizes of the bubbles. Oh, that was pretty good. I like the look of that. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side. Bring in another little jug of water. Add my soap. This time, let's try that black. Oh, I'm sorry. We did black soap. Let's try the Vintage Photo. This was another one of my darker oxides that I thought really gave a nice result. So I'm going to give 2 nice squirts in there. Give it a stir. And then blow. The more you do this, the more you'll start to recognize and see the color in the bubbles, so you know you're going to get a good print. Okay, this is the watercolor card again. Very light print, which is okay. That's all right. I'm okay with that because I'm going to do another layer. Let me get that stirred well. Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of color on this one. Let me catch some bubbles. Even the ones that fall off the pot I use. Okay, now this is going to be very light. It's not that dark. What I can do is add another squirt of that ink, which I'm going to do, see if I can get a nicer print just on the plain card, the heavy cardstock. So let me give a swirl. A nice blow of bubbles here, and let's see what we get now. Oh yeah, definitely darker by just adding a little more ink. Now, do you see why I say don't use a huge vessel? Because you are going to use up a lot of ink by doing this process. Okay, set that to the side to dry. We'll revisit that in a little bit. Let's look now. We'll bring in another little vessel of water. Let's use the Dilutions ink spray. All right, this is a water-based ink. And I'm just going to add the soap first. I'm just going to pour the ink right out of the bottle. Give it a good stir. And we're going to give it a blow and see how this works. This is first for me because I haven't tried this yet. So we're going to see how this works together. Okay, pretty blue bubbles, huh? Watercolor card first, just like I've been doing. Oh, yeah, nice. Check that out. Ooh, I like that. So I would say that if you have any of the Dilution ink sprays, they work really well. Set that to the side and let's just use the regular heavy cardstock and see how that looks. A stir and a blow. Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, I'm really happy with that. Check that out. Is that not fun? Oh, love it. Okay, setting that to the side. One more that we're going to try. And for this, I am going to use the Lavinia acrylic spray in cranberry red. Let's see how that goes. I need to give this a little bit of a shake because these do settle. And these aren't inks. These are actually acrylic paints. So let's add some soap again. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to pour this from the bottle. Ooh, look at that beautiful color. Goodness, goodness. That's a beauty. Give it a stir. And then we'll go in with the watercolor first and see how this goes. Okay, let's see the first try, how we do here. I have a feeling this is going to be very light. Yes, it's very, very light. So let me give it a better stir. See if we can get more color. Ooh, I can see more color, so that might help. Oh, yes. Yeah, this is a messy project, but you know what? Why not? Kind of fun. Okay, that looks kind of pretty, right? I'm going to add just a little more of this acrylic spray to see if I can get a little more color from this. I bet this is something little kids would love to do. Maybe your grandchildren someday. You want to give them a fun project to play with, although messy. Okay, that did come out a little bit darker. I'm going to set that to the side, let it dry, and let's use just a heavy cardstock. Give it a good stir. Ooh, I've got bubbles going everywhere. Ooh, that's a cool pattern. Okay, let me see if I can get a little more of a print. Yes, okay, cool. Catch some on the side. Okay, let me let those set on the side, wipe my hands off a tad bit, because I definitely am a mess. Okay, and I'm gonna just kind of set this to one side. I'm gonna bring that blue back in and show you that you can most definitely do combinations of color. This time I'm bringing in a 4x6 piece of cardstock. This would be considered a topper for a card. So let's mix the colors on a larger piece and see what this looks like. I'm gonna start with the blue. Excuse my head if it got in the way. Let me take some prints of this. And then the pink. Oh, I got them stuck to my hand. One more time. Stir. Make some bubbles. And let me get a print from there. Okay, ooh, that looks fun. Okay, I'm gonna set that to the side to dry. And this time, we're gonna bring in those other two colors that we used. The black soot and the vintage photo. And I'm gonna do the same thing on a 4x6 piece of card. This is just the plain heavyweight card. Let's see this combination of colors. You do get a tad bit of blending, I will tell you that. Okay, let me give this a good stir because it has sat the longest. And get some bigger bubbles there. Catch some, ooh, look at that, fun. Okay. Come on, think about this. When's the last time you blew bubbles and made a mess and had fun? Seriously, this is so cool. And it smells so good because of the scent of my soap. Here we go with the brown, or the vintage photo, I should say. Oh, nice. Nice. These actually look like pebbles. Let me give this another swirl. And add some more. Ooh, look how fun. Look how fun. Okay, let me clean off this work surface a little bit, and I'm going to bring these cards back in for you to see them now that they have somewhat dried. They're not completely dry, but they're close to being dry. Let me wipe off my work area, clean off my hands a little bit. Okay, so we started with the Distress Oxide in Black Soot. Now remember, it's about 4 ounces of water. I added that to a glass jar along with 2 little squirts of my dish soap. Gave it a good stir, blew with the bubbles, and here is the end result. I think that's a fun, fun background. I could see stamping all kinds of things on here and making this look so unique. Now, remember when I did it the first time around? I picked up, there's a little bubble left. I picked up some of that foamy area. So now you can see what just the big bubbles do versus that foamy area. You know what, to be honest, that foamy area is pretty cool looking. So, you know what, depending on what you like, you know, go for it. Now, this is the heavyweight card. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the watercolor. This is the heavyweight card. So as you can see, both of them work rather well. So you don't need to have watercolor card because so little stays on there as far as the fluid goes that it doesn't warp. Okay, let's take a look at the next one that I did. This was the one with the vintage photo. All right, let me bring that in. Watercolor card here. Look how pretty that is. You can see a lot of nice bubbles. Oops, as I put my fingerprint in there. And look at that one. How cool is that? Watercolor card, and this is just the heavyweight card. Oh, I can still imagine all kinds of things going on here. What I could be stamping on that. Okay, the next thing we tried was the Dilution ink spray, which I really think the Distress ink would give a very similar result to this. But check this one out. Oh, watercolor card, heavyweight cardstock. Look at the amount of bubbles I got on that heavyweight cardstock. Awesome backgrounds, absolutely awesome. And the last one we did, I used the Lavinia acrylic spray in cranberry red. And it really came out very pink. Here's the watercolor card. Here I picked up some of that foam instead of just the bubbles on their own. Came out pretty cool, I think. And then this one, kind of the same thing. You can see where the foam is and where the bubbles were. Okay, so that was a fun experiment to try and to see that you don't need those refill bottles for ink. If you have some spray inks, those also work. Okay, let's look at that combination card. This is on heavyweight cardstock. Heavyweight, I always refer to, is anything above 110 pounds and definitely 270 to 300 GSM weight. That way you don't have to run the risk of warping. But look how cool those bubbles came out. Again, I think an amazing background, and you could just stamp and make such an amazing scene on this. And lastly, let's look at the watercolor card, in which I used the combination of the Dilution ink spray and the acrylic spray. Ooh, nice, huh? Tell me that's not fun. Look at that. You could really do some creative things with these backgrounds. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed watching me make a total mess of myself. And if you decide to give this technique a try, why don't you post it in our Facebook groups? Tag me. I would love to see your color combinations and the results that you get. Have fun. That's the best part about this. Make a mess, have fun, get inky, and just surprise yourself with what you can create. Hey, thanks so very much for watching as usual. Truly appreciate you taking the time to watch the videos that I create. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.